Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Bedford County Sports Talk Live. I have Mr. Bill Anderson and Mr. Kenny Parker sitting beside me. Kenny, it's good to have you sitting back in the seat.
Glad to be back.
Did you have a good time? Kill any
Had a
ducks?
Great time. Had a very good time.
Kill any ducks?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
They hit the water.
They hit the water.
They hit the.
Did you bring any home?
And saw some great dogs.
I'll bet.
Man, there's nothing like watching a good retriever work. But yes, we did. We brought some home. We probably killed upwards of 80.
All right.
4 days.
Good deal. It's good to have you back. We want to thank our sponsors this morning, Kincaid
Service
Company, First Bank of Shelbyville, and Leverett's Power Washing. Guys, these are three great locally owned businesses. First Bank is owned here out of a Tennessee corporation, so I consider them local. They're not a big national bank.
They've been a sponsor since day one.
Day one.
They've been with us for a long time, and we appreciate them. And, of course, Kincaid Service Company, you can't beat them. Leverett's Power Washing, I've heard several personal testimonies about what a great job he does, and we appreciate these fine sponsors. Guys, we've got a lot of stuff going on today. With Thanksgiving, we've had all the football games going on. They're just been running nonstop, which is
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
It's great.
Exactly.
Turkey and that, you can't beat it.
Can't beat it.
And then we've got our high school playoffs coming down to where we've got our final game set up. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the local teams, the Middle Tennessee teams.
Well, I want to mention Upperman for a minute. What a season for Baxter. They're 14-0. They went up to Greenville. Nobody thought they could beat them, and they beat them.
Well, Upperman has been good the last few years, but they've never been able to get over the Greenville hump.
Yeah.
And last night they got over the Greenville hump. They fumbled their opening possession, and Greenville went up 7-0. Totally Baxter after that. Greenville hit a late, deep touchdown to make it the 21-14, but their motto here's Kenny Parker just likes this motto. We're going to run through your face.
Run through your face.
We're going to run through your face.
That will stop in Chattanooga next Saturday when they run into Pearl Cone.
All right, so they got Upperman against Pearl Cone in the 4A championship.
Two undefeated teams.
That's going to be a good ball game, and it will be televised.
Sure, yes.
So it's we can all watch these, which that's awesome. I think high school football doesn't end just because our teams are out. And then you have this connection.
You know, next week is the end of the high school season with the state championship. But then the week after that, we have the East-West game at Austin Peay. So they take the best 44 from the West, the best 44
and they're all seniors, isn't that correct?
It's a senior, but yes, and that'll be in Austin Peay.
All right, so we got McKenzie and South Pittsburgh. South Pittsburgh continues to roll. You got scores on that, Bill?
McKenzie beat Dresden 25-14. The interesting thing about that was Dresden had been the only team to beat McKenzie in the regular season, so that was a revenge game for McKenzie.
So then we have
East McKenzie put more candy out. That's why we're mentioning
it. Yeah. And we've got East Robertson, Riverside. The East Robertson connection is the Cascade played them.
That's who Cascade played. And Riverside connection is Coach Johnny Frost is coaching at Parsons Riverside, who coached with me and then at one time was the head coach at Unionville at Community.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was head coach at Community and then left there to go back. That's where his wife, that's where Libby's from, that area. So he and his brother-in-law and his two boys are coaching there.
I remember we were doing the Coach Groom show. We were talking about Giles Canyon. I said, how good are they? And he goes, they're as good as they're going to be till they find Alcoa, and it's over then. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened last night. Alcoa 38, Giles County 7. Alcoa, they're always good.
They're there.
And East Nashville's back. They're back again. So here we go with that matchup. Then in 3A, and then, of course, Upperman, Pearl Cone. Page and Knoxville West. Page took Southwind and shut them down. Final score 10-7.
Page's third trip back to back.
Yes. And I think what's encouraging about this is Shelbyville scrimmage Page and play with them very well early in the year. And then you had the Centennial matchup we had with them, and Centennial and Page and Shelbyville. They all played tight games.
Give that coaching staff and Page some credit. They've gone from being a team that threw it 30, 40 times a game. But what did my kids do good? Well, apparently play defense, run the football. So he moved his coaching to what his kids did
You
well.
have to
But
do
they
that.
but
You
they
have to do
still
that.
throw it.
They do, but they don't throw it like they did.
down the field. They throw
Right.
it dink and dunk passes like New England used
But they're
to
not
do.
throwing it 50 times a game like they were at one point. And
All
they
right,
playing
so-
good defense because Southwind had been putting up the points.
Well, they
Oh,
have.
and against good competition.
Henry County's pretty doggone
Yeah,
good.
that's correct.
All right, so you've got Page setting up against Knoxville West. I don't know about Knoxville West, but it seems like they're always there. They're in the mix.
Always.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Knoxville West, if I'm not mistaken, beat Maryville this year.
They did.
Yeah,
That's correct.
They did. All right,
In
Oakland.
Knoxville West, where Chuck Webb came from, played for Tennessee.
That's-
Running
Yes,
back.
that is-
He was a
yes,
Knoxville West
I believe
boy.
that's correct.
And that's where when you said Chuck, my buddy Chuck Craig, that's where he's got a sister that teaches there.
Okay.
All right, so we've got Houston at Oakland. Oakland continues to roll on after that thumping over Riverdale.
You know
now
what?
Here we
No,
go.
that wasn't a thumping. That was a awakening call.
Uh-huh.
The
Okay.
last game
Yeah.
of the season. Riverdale woke up those boys,
Yeah.
and they're on a roll right now.
And Houston's out of Memphis, and they're right next to
Mhm.
Southwind, actually, right. He's selling school supplies right up the road there
Yeah,
between Germantown and Memphis.
they're in that South Memphis with them and Germantown and all. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we got Division II. We've got MTCS at Friendship. Rematch from the year.
Middle Tennessee Christian beat Friendship
Yeah,
in regular
so
season
it's going
this
to be
year.
hard for Friendship to beat them. Hard for MTCS to beat them twice.
This will be a rematch.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, so you got Boyd Buchanan, CPA.
That's these two coaches have faced each other before, because Boyd Buchanan is coached by Gary Rankin.
Yeah.
And CPA and Alcoa used to play. I think this is CPA's fourth time. Coach Rankin, this is his second year at Boyd Buchanan. And I asked him, I said, Gary, why did you leave? Why did you leave Alcoa? He said, my wife said it was time. He's got a grandson that's living in Chattanooga right there. So had to get close to the grandbaby. So that'll be a very good ball game.
And then a Chattanooga matchup, McCauley and Baylor square off. That ought to be a big game for just the Chattanooga area.
And then Chattanooga. So, that ought to be a massive turnout.
It should be a big turnout. Well, congratulations to all these teams that are going forward, especially those that we have connection to that we've been watching all year. You got the South Pittsburgh. We are always talking about them, and East Robertson. And then, of course, Pearl Cone. We always bring them up every week from the entire season. And then, of course, Page, and then Oakland, and MTCS. All these Middle Tennessee teams and the connections they have to
talk about East
County.
Robertson. East Robertson had to go on the road to Marion County. Then they had to go on the road last night to York, who was undefeated and putting up some big numbers.
York's a tough place to play too, as you well know.
Well, football season's fixing to come down to a close for high school level after this championship weekend. But basketball's already kicked into gear, guys. We've got all of our county teams are playing now. They've had a few games, some tournaments, some of the Hall of Fame games have gotten under their belt. And so far, it's been kind of rough for our county, but I want to give a shout out to our Sheffield Central boys. They're 2-2. Bill, they already have won 2 games this year. And last year, we won 2 games the entire season.
Entire season. A big win over Giles County for Coach Young. Then he goes down and beats Millington, which was a good win, 53-52. I don't have the score, but he got beat by the team, I think, out of Oklahoma. But his show will be Monday at 5:30 right here, the Coach Shane Young show. Shovel Girls had a rough time with Knoxville Catholic, 92-15 is what Coach D said. That was tough. I don't know that Knoxville Catholic may not be like Webb and bringing it. It's recruiting.
You have to.
You got to.
You got to.
All right, so the girls and the boys for Sheffield Central play Tuesday night at Tullahoma.
And that's always a big bump
game.
Anytime Shelbyville and Tullahoma played anything.
So
the
girls,
the way I understand these Hall of Fame games, they're like jamboree games. You can count them as on your win-loss, or you don't have to count them on your win-loss.
I think the way Coach T is doing it, they're putting them up as wins and losses in their stats.
But according to
you can go either way on them. Yeah. All right. Well, the girls are 2-1, boys are 2-2, playing Tuesday night. So
at Tullahoma.
At Tullahoma.
Okay, we got Cascade girls. They've won a game. Of course, that young team from last year, those freshmen and sophomores are now sophomores and juniors.
with another year of coaching.
Right, with another year of coaching. They're 1-3. The boys are 0-4. And this coming week, they're back into action, and things are starting after Thanksgiving. Things are starting to get into a more normal schedule until Christmas, and then of course that throws everything out. But most all these are going to be outside of the region games. So you got Cascade. They'll be playing Santa Fe on Monday, and then they'll play Moore County at Moore County on Friday. The boys and the girls. So they will be in action 2 games this coming week. So I'm anxious to see how the Cascade girls get into their normal schedule here after having that. They've had some time to play.
And they're still,
now.
I think, still going to be relatively young.
They're young.
1 or 2 seniors.
1 or 2.
Yeah. And you got the boys. Of course, they had that big year last year. They're rebuilding this year.
And what I've been having to drive a bus out in that area. I know I've parked the bus. I've seen a Siegel van where they're scrimmaging Siegel. I've seen an Oakland van. The boys are playing against some pretty, I don't know what they've played in preseason, but and he lost a whole lot. He lost a lot last year. Like the Clanton the Clanton boys playing at Auburn now. So.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they're in action twice this next week. Then we've got community. The girls are 1-2, and the boys hadn't won yet. They've only played 3 games, so the season's still young for all these teams. So we really don't know how things are going to shape up.
And when the season's young,
you
don't know what coaches are looking at. They're trying to find.
Right. It's like Coach Young with the Shovel Boys. It's his first year here, and he's already told us we're going to take our lumps first part of the year, but we're going to play defense, and
he's going to play a lot of kids.
And they're going to grow as the year goes on. I'm anxious to see all these teams grow.
I think Coach Young says the one thing that you got practice players and then you got gamers.
Yep.
Yeah.
And until I see them in the game, I don't know who the gamer is versus the practice player.
Right.
Don't disagree with that.
All right. So you got the community boys 0-3 and the girls 1-2. They play at Murfreesboro Central Magnet on Monday. And I think that's a home game. Now, we got to get Dan Reed on here to give us our community report. And he says he's going to come on here and give us a little more in depth. So we'll know about some of the kids. And he's going to be our arm or our connection to community and that entire staff there. So we look forward to hearing from him. And, of course, the Webb girls haven't found anybody to play them, but they play
Brentwood.
They played yesterday. They played Brentwood. So did you get a score
64-44? Webb girls got beat. But of course, Brentwood's a 6A school and pretty good.
Right. Okay. And then they play again today in Nolensville. So they finally are getting to play. And then on the 28th, they play Brentwood Academy. So they're stepping up. They're just taking whoever they have to.
They're happy to.
Yeah. I mean, that's. But when you say they're playing Brentwood, they chose to move up. Now they chose to move up.
Yeah.
So they've moved up to where the Brentwood Academies are in their region.
Yeah.
Those are region games now. The girls chose to move up a classification, and they're playing against other private schools, which go out and get them like they are.
Yeah. All right. And the boys, they're 2-1. They play Grace Christian. Now, are the boys still?
The boys
back?
Did not move
up.
How
How can they do that? Just because they're a private school? Is that it? Each program is separate entity.
The boys didn't move up, but the girls did, is the way I understand.
Wow. Well, that's they
now,
want
if somebody
the best
knows different, chime in there and let us know.
That's interesting how that could possibly work out. But all these teams are in action now. Get out, support them. We've got a lot happening this upcoming week, but we just wanted to go over what we've had so far, and it's still young. The season's still young, so all these teams will be getting more experience, getting more playing time, and as things go along, they'll step up.
And I think Webb's got a new girls coach. I think their coach left, the one that had been coaching them the last couple of years. I think he's moved on somewhere else.
All right. Let's shift gears now and talk about college football. But again, we want to thank our sponsors, First Bank of Shelbyville, Kincaid
Service Company,
and Leverett Power Washing. You like to talk about that service, don't you?
Service. So that's the key.
Why do you like to talk about it so much?
Because you just don't get it you don't get it anywhere else. You've got to go to a small local business. That's where you get your service. You're not going to get it from these corporations.
Speaking of service, I got to have me another sausage ball.
Hey, thank you to the wife today for hooking us up.
That is service right there.
That is true service.
Right.
All right, guys, college football. We got to see one game Thursday night, Mississippi State. Were y'all shocked about that game? It turned out like I figured.
Listen, that is typical of rival week.
And a coaching change.
Did you see how hard those young men were attacking each other?
Yes.
I mean, attacking each other.
But you had a coaching change too, and that new guy had them motivated.
Well, they always and Mississippi State won the Egg Bowl last year.
They sure did.
So Ole Miss wanted it back, and Kiffin was excited to win that game. That right at the end of the game, when they're taking a knee, he spikes his earphone, he spikes his headset.
Oh yeah.
So I mean that's what rivalry week is.
Right. So, how many times he's called Texas A&M already?
None. He ain't going nowhere.
Oh, he's going somewhere.
You think so?
Yes,
No.
I do. Maybe not this year, but
Ole
next.
Miss finishes 10-2 on the year. Great year for them.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see them playing on New Year's Day.
Yeah, this is the second time in school history they've been 10-2.
Speaking of New Year's Day, we're going to see Missouri playing. They
Missouri's
took
playing
Arkansas to the woodshed, 48-14.
Missouri's playing well.
And you were in Arkansas this past week. And what's the scuttlebutt out there about Coach
He's back.
Pittman?
He's back.
Okay.
He's back.
He's coming back.
He's back.
I would hate to see the SEC lose that man.
Yeah, he's a good man. He's back.
He's a good coach.
He is.
He just had a tough year this year.
He's had a tough year, but he's back.
Year or two ago, he was coach.
And everybody out there loves him.
Yeah,
they like him.
Everybody.
He's a good fit for Arkansas.
Hey, let me tell you, when I got out there on Friday, I pulled in on Friday, and my guide said, "I'm headed to a football game." Said our local team's playing in the semifinals. And I said, let me unpack. I'll go with you.
All right.
He said, well, Kenny, he said, you can't go. And I said, why is that? He said, you have to buy your tickets online. This is all cashless.
You're kidding me.
He said, Arkansas has gone all cashless in the playoffs. Every ticket for the playoffs has to be bought
now,
online.
Let me ask this question again. We've done this before. But so you're giving the credit card company 3.5-4% of your gate is going to the credit card company. How's that good for athletics and schools?
Then the service that you have to have, not only for the credit card, but for that electronic ticket, costs the transaction fee on top of it.
There's a transaction fee as well.
But you got to do all this in advance.
I know.
Well, think of your revenue loss.
No walking up to the gate and paying for it. This is a bonehead thing. I'm telling you guys.
Telling you, I agree.
You know what brought this to us?
COVID.
Exactly. Well,
that's
I
a good way to
didn't
have
get
me
to
not
watch
go to a
it,
game.
and they won. So
it's not good. But
No,
anyway,
it's not.
all right, let's talk about some top 10. Oregon State. Oregon took them to the woodshed.
Oregon.
I thought Oregon State would have played them tighter than that. But
Oregon,
boy, the
Oregon,
Knicks guy to have gone from Auburn. He's sure, especially at home, he's tough. He's
Oregon
tough.
is SEC
Northwest, yeah.
SEC because they got the defensive coordinator from Georgia is their head coach. The guy calling defense, their defensive coordinator, I'd seen him. I want to think he was a defensive coordinator at one of the teams in SEC because I knew his face when I saw him. Don't know his name, but they're taking the way they play.
Took that Auburn quarterback up there to get it done.
Now you know where they go next year.
Where
they go play Ohio State.
Yeah,
no,
that's going to be a wild conference there. So Oregon's rolling on. Texas over Texas Tech, 57-7.
That was a revenge game.
Yes,
Texas Tech beat them last year, and it also being their last regular season game before they come into the SEC.
Yeah,
which the commissioner was bold stated he was rooting for Texas Tech. And they played that over the loudspeaker at the end of the game, and
that was good.
Yeah.
All right, you got Penn State 42, Michigan State, no surprise there. Oklahoma 69, TCU 45. That was
no defense there.
That was closer than I expected.
Yeah, Iowa 13, Nebraska 10.
And here's the thing: Iowa is playing in the conference championship. You know what that over and under was for that game? The lowest it's been in 20-something years.
Was it 26 or 27?
25.
26.
And still under. Iowa has won. They're what, 10-2?
10-2.
And 8 of their wins they won in the under.
Well, They must have a good defense.
That they say they win with offensive
Good
line,
kicker.
defense, and tight ends.
All
And
right,
a good field goal kicker.
We got.
They've always had a
Here's a
good
team
kicker.
that snuck up on
But
me.
you know the field goal kicker that kicked the game-winning field goal last night? Only attempt all year.
What happened to the regular kicker? Hurt.
The coach said at the end of the game, he said, we felt like he gave us the best chance. I'm thinking, yeah, he ain't kicked one all year. Something's going on there.
All right, this is a team that snuck up on me. Tulane is 11-1. They're in the top 25. They beat
They were there last year.
UTSA.
They were.
They sneak in there. I
They
mean,
were
you don't
there
hear
last
about
year.
them a lot, and there they are.
That's right. But, again,
They would
We
have
talked-
probably beat Ole Miss, to be honest with you, if their quarterback hadn't been hurt that game.
well,
And he had got hurt the week before because they played Ole Miss tough that game with a backup quarterback. Tulane's got athletes
they do. That's where the road
Plus
back
Spears
from
for Titans come
yeah,
from.
yes.
Yeah.
and beat USC in the Rose Bowl last year. They beat them.
All right, big game for the top 10 and national championship implications. Of course, we got Ohio State, Michigan playing here in just a little while, guys. How do you guys see this playing out? It's going to be played at Ann Arbor, home ground for Michigan. So what's going to happen?
I'm not worrying about the playing out. This is what I want to see because I guess I'm a homer. I want to see how far the loser falls. I bet the loser doesn't fall below Texas.
Bet you're right. They
Probably
love
right.
the Big Ten.
Yeah. All right.
I bet they don't. I bet 6 is as far as they might.
Unless the game isn't competitive.
I doubt if they will go below Oregon.
Okay, so
I
who wins
agree
this
with you.
game? Who's
The most physical team wins the game. That's
Well,
Michigan.
who's that?
Michigan.
I think Ohio State will win.
Oh, really?
Ohio State's lost the last 2.
They're due.
There was a lot of
Michigan-
scuttlebutt this morning about
Yeah.
Harbaugh leaving Michigan. Did y'all hear all that this
No, I
morning?
hadn't heard that one.
That don't.
He's going to go to the NFL.
Didn't I tell you earlier, about the last meeting I was here with?
Mhm.
His worst is he leaves there and goes to the NFL, makes millions.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
think that's what.
But I do think, and I do not like Harbaugh personally, but I think he's been railroaded on this deal.
I don't.
I do.
I don't.
You keep bringing it up, and
He-
you suspend him earlier. Now we come back to
Hey.
suspend him again.
Once he got to Michigan, he scuttled the rules everywhere. You remember when he first got to Michigan, he came down in the South and we're doing
I remember that.
All right.
camps and clinics and
We
stuff.
got a comment. Jeremy Davenport says Ohio State will destroy Michigan. Well, I'm going to pick Michigan.
I'm going to
taking
take
those.
Michigan.
I don't.
You can't ever tell about this.
I don't
this
think
game.
the Michigan quarterback can throw the ball.
No, he don't have to.
They're going to
Yeah,
run
he
it right
runs
at
it.
him.
He runs
I don't think they will be able.
He-
I don't think they will be able to be one-dimensional against Ohio State and run.
Well,
Now Ohio State can run it and they can throw it.
yeah, and they got Marvin Harrison.
And
But Ohio State gave up, as I heard this morning, 180 yards rushing to Rutgers. They've given up over 200 yards in several games, so they have a problem with
the
run
thing
defense.
about McCarthy, he's got to be moving to throw the ball. He can't stand in the
Now, does
pocket
it
and throw
hurt
the
that
ball.
Harbaugh's not on the sideline?
I don't think
it does. I mean, when you're a quarterback and you do this, Harbaugh was a quarterback. I call him Harbaugh. Harbaugh was a quarterback. And when you're able to come over to the sidelines and somebody talk to you and tell you, hey, you looking at this, you see this, you're all right here. Their coordinator, their head coach now is the offensive line coach. He can't talk to a quarterback. He talks to
Well, the
All right,
interesting thing is-
Jeremy's even coming up and says Ohio State wins by at least 17.
Oh, no, that's going
Jeremy,
on.
you're going out on a limb,
He
buddy.
likes his Buckeyes.
I like it. I like the
I
bold
like it.
statement,
I like
but I'm
boldness.
saying Michigan by
They are.
3.
Michigan is
By
at home.
3.
I think
By
Michigan
3.
by 10.
But here's the thing about it. Harbaugh is still there.
He coached the
He
team
might not be on
all
the
week.
sideline.
That was what's weird. He's
He coached-
suspended,
I don't
and he's
think
just out for the game.
He
He's just
can't be
out
on
for-
the sideline.
He
Right.
can't be in the stadium, period.
Oh, can he
And
not?
he cannot have any kind of communications.
I bet he's communicating.
It's kinda like
He's
the
good with
paper-
signals. I hear.
Well,
He's doing some sign language. Yeah,
you're not cheating. You're not trying. That's the
Well,
old Patriot way. You're not cheating. You're not trying to flaking footballs or whatever.
a while ago
Okay.
you said he didn't do that
I know.
stuff.
I say everybody does it.
Okay. All
They're
right.
not the only school doing it. I can
Let's
assure you.
move off them.
All right.
And Kenny, you're saying Ohio State.
I think
I'm
Ohio
taking
State will
Michigan.
win.
Michigan.
You're
I'll take
taking
Michigan.
Michigan. All right. Kentucky, Louisville.
Louisville's had a good year.
Louisville.
Yep.
Louisville's
I
gonna
think
take
Kentucky's
care of business.
sort of folded.
Yeah, they kind of they're trending downward, as they say.
And Louisville's got
All
a
right.
chance to go to the ACC title game, right? Or they're already in.
They're in it.
They're already in.
Well, this game has no
Nothing to do with
bearing on it. All right, so you got Texas A&M, LSU. 7-5 is where Texas A&M is going to be after this game, playing in a lower bowl.
I do think they got a
LSU
chance. The Todd
You
Bobo
think
line.
Texas A&M will win?
No,
No,
LSU
they already
gonna
won
win.
7 games?
They've won 7 games, so
Okay,
they're in. Yeah.
but the line's 11 in this game, and I think there's a chance A&M actually will cover the line because LSU didn't play any defense. LSU will win the game. But it's liable
LSU's
to be.
defense has gotten a little better. LSU all depends on whether that quarterback stay healthy.
Yes,
If that quarterback stay healthy, they're tough.
because he's
If he-
put,
All
he's
right,
put up
here's
Heisman numbers.
Jesse Barnes coming. Jeremy is correct. Ohio State by 20+. Wow.
Whoa.
All right,
I'm
Jesse.
not seeing something
All right.
right.
You
Somehow
got some
or another.
Ohio State Buckeye guys.
Harrison
out here.
Jr. will have a heyday. Now, I'm not going to
Oh, he's
disagree.
great.
He's going to
He's
have
good.
150 yards. He's the
He-
best NFL prospect at receiver in the last 5 years. Easy.
Maybe the last decade.
Yeah, maybe so. All right, so you've got that coming back up. All right, we've got the Iron Bowl, Alabama and Auburn. At Auburn,
And I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, I'm an Alabama man, but that is a tough game to play at Auburn.
no matter what the records
No
are.
matter what the records are.
Yeah.
The line's 14.5.
I think Alabama should win. I think Alabama is playing with a crutch because they know they have to win. I think they will play well, but I'm telling you right now, when you play at Auburn, and I don't care what happened to Auburn last week, that has totally nothing to do with this game. It's going to be a tough ball game.
All right,
But
so
I think
what's the
Alabama
line? What's the
will
Todd Bobo line?
Todd
on
Bobo
this?
line is 14.5.
I'm taking Auburn. Not
And the
to
points,
cover,
and the
not
points.
to cover that.
I think Alabama will cover it, but I think it's going to be a tough ball
14.
game.
You think Alabama will win by more than 14.5?
Well, who did Monroe did last week?
Do what now?
It's New Mexico, wasn't it?
Yeah, New Mexico State did last week.
Yeah.
New Mexico State's better than people think, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are.
Well,
They are.
I
They
think,
are better.
I think the Auburn defense is going to play good enough to keep that from happening.
Auburn, I'm telling you, Auburn's not bad.
No, they're
And that's
6-5
gonna be
record. In another
now that Hugh
conference,
Freeze
it
is
would
there,
not be that.
There's your guy that'll go get you some players. That's
yeah.
money by,
I
baby.
don't disagree with you there.
All right, we've got Arizona State. Arizona should win that one. What do you guys think about that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Oklahoma State, BYU. Oklahoma State.
Well,
All right.
here's the thing about the Oklahoma State BYU game. If BYU beats Oklahoma State, you're going to have, I hate to say it this way, 2 SEC championships this year. Texas and Oklahoma
Yeah.
and Alabama, Georgia.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma has to have help. BYU has to beat Oklahoma.
Where's that game at? BYU.
It's at Oklahoma
It's at
Stillwater.
Oklahoma.
If they were at home, I'd give BYU a shot at it. But
But I think Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma
will
State take
All
care
right,
of business.
in Knoxville, Tennessee, Vanderbilt. Tennessee is ranked 21 in the AP poll, which I'm surprised they're still in the top
I am too.
25, but they
win.
are.
They can play.
But is there any hope for Vanderbilt?
None.
None. What's
Very
the line?
slim,
What's the
very
Todd
slim.
Bobo line on this one?
26.5. And I think this time they're going to send a message because I think
Yeah.
Vandy's quit. I really do.
I think there's a. Can you see the gap between my fingers?
I do.
That's about how much Vandy's got.
But they do have a
But
have a little bit of it.
I think
Okay.
Tennessee will more than cover.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
I think Vandy will have a hard time scoring.
Jeremy comes on and says, as a Vol fan, I'm nervous. Our offense can't score. That's true.
That is
But
true.
against
That's
Vanderbilt,
because-
But you can run a football.
But that's because they were used to the great offense they had
Right,
last year.
right. That's true.
I
All right.
predict you're going to see the 5-star kid today.
You think
a
so?
The new quarterback.
I do.
Okay. That'd be
Because I'm not so
interesting.
sure if I'm not hypo, I don't go to Joe Milton and tell him I'm for him. And you need to be getting ready for the NFL draft.
Yeah.
You're not
You
getting
know,
hurt. It's like, I love your
Milton,
arm.
it's senior day. Milton's gonna start.
He'll start, but I'm saying
You're
I
for
think
him.
you're for you.
Yeah, I'm for
In
you.
the bowl game,
Okay.
play the 5-star kid.
All right.
Time to move on.
Washington State.
Washington's
That's gonna
awful
be
tough, but
at
Washington's
Husky
tough,
Stadium.
Yeah.
All right, Florida State, Florida.
2 new quarterbacks in this game.
I think
FSU's
that's
got a
gonna
new
be-
quarterback. So does
I think
Florida.
that's going to be closer than a lot of people think.
I agree. Because in the swamp's a tough place to play.
All right, then we got Georgia, Georgia Tech. Okay, that's always a big rivalry, but Georgia this year, I just don't see how they can fail there.
No.
Clemson, South Carolina, that's an interesting game.
Clemson's rolling right now.
Clemson's back on track a little bit. It seems
Yeah,
like
that-
Dabo's got his second
That
win.
dude got Dabo's attention on the radio, and he got it all the attention.
That's another guy that I wonder at some point if old Dabo, one of these jobs pops up, if he would be willing to move, because I think he got a little ticked when they were getting on him this year.
Okay, so after this week, everything gets settled. All right, we have our bowl games setting up. Of course, we'll have our Army-Navy game to watch. As
we got
always
championship
going,
next week.
Do what? Yeah,
Championship week's next week.
that's true. But we got the
The next
regular
week,
season
what?
ends today. The regular season
ends today, but you got championship.
But you're gonna
week.
have Georgia, Alabama. You're probably gonna have who else playing
We'll talk about that next week.
in the ACC? It's gonna be Florida State and
Louisville.
Okay, and
it's
then
probably going to be Washington, Oregon
right.
A rematch.
and it's going to be
Oklahoma,
Texas, and Oklahoma
All right.
State, and then it's going to be the winner of Ohio State, Michigan against Iowa.
Iowa.
Now
Okay.
that
Hopefully, they're going to reconfigure the Big Ten after they get these teams
they'll
in here
have to,
and
just like
separate
SEC.
Ohio State and Michigan, where they can beat the title game.
I don't know.
For teams like
you know-
Missouri, their year's over, so they're going to be looking outside of conference championships. You're going to see all these bowls starting to fall into place, and it'll be like, this is what's so crazy. You got Ohio State, Michigan playing. One of those is going to drop out of the championship. Probably.
I don't think so.
know.
Well,
The
they
way
could
the
be.
media loves
Hey,
the
the
Big
way
Ten.
the media loves the Big Ten.
I'm a Kenny.
You think the
not
media has something to do with this?
I sure do.
All right,
I
it's
sure
gonna
do.
be-
Hey,
it's-
I think the media has a lot to do with who wins the Heisman. Also,
Now
Agreed.
we are going to
Northern
have
media.
we're going to have our bowl championship pick 'em like we did last year.
that's fine.
You know who whipped our butts last year? don't
Dr.
you?
Garrett.
Dr. Garrett. Is she going to get in on this? Maybe.
I'm sure she will be.
All right.
We can get her to come.
All right. Let's
Is
shift
she
gears.
feeling better? Have you talked to her?
Yes, she's feeling better.
Good.
Let's shift gears and talk some pro football, Bill. What's
Well,
going
let's
on
talk
in
about
pro
let's
football?
talk about the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love. What a game!
Well, here's the thing. I'll tell you this: quarterbacks get too much credit and too much blame. Jordan Love, I agree, had a great
he
game.
sure did.
But you know what caused that? The offensive line helped him, and he didn't have the pressure in his face throwing the ball
And watch him caught the ball.
receivers getting open. And they still played that game without their best running back,
Right. The best tight end.
their best tight end, their best corner, and their best linebacker.
And one of their tackles was out.
Well, Barciar, he's out for the year, but
Talk to me
and I'm
about
telling
the
you,
kid
these-
that impresses
these young-
me is
these-
Jaden Reed. Talk about him a little bit.
These young guys, when they started, we talked about this all year with community, where they're young and they don't know. Well, that's what Green Bay's doing. They got all these young guys. They don't know what the NFL's like. They're beginning. They still don't know what the NFL's like, but they're beginning to get better and playing with a little confidence. And when they get these older guys that are still in the locker room, they're still practicing, they're still mixing. But when they get them out there on the field, I mean, when do you want to play your better ball? Toward the end of the season. And I think they are beginning. Now, they're going to have a big one this coming Sunday. Of course, they don't play tomorrow. And that's good because that gives them a little extra time to get these Kansas City Chiefs coming to town next. But
Where did Jaden Reed come from?
Michigan State,
He's a baller.
he's a player.
And they're starting to find ways to
And-
get him the
and-
ball,
and they
running
had-
it, catching it.
They had
He's
another.
playmaker.
They had another one of their young receivers that didn't get to play last week, but they're beginning to gain some confidence and play. I was talking to Aaron after the game. Their secondary were first and second year. Every one of their secondary players were first or second year players.
Well, as good as Jordan Love was, Jared Goff was bad.
Well, and another reason, because of the Packers defensive line got the pressure to him.
And I said,
And-
once
and
they
I'll
hit him a
tell
few
you-
times, it was like he was ready to go
Sure it
down at the
was.
first sign of it.
But
Well,
Fumble 3 times.
how many times have we seen this? A team start out as hot as fire, and then toward the end of the
When-
year they start to fizzle.
when-
I think that's happened.
when
to
I was
Detroit.
when I was at Green Bay and watched that same game, I told you guys the Detroit Lions, offense and defensive lines, kicked Green Bay's tail. Well, it was role reversal the other
Yeah,
day.
it was.
Anytime people say the trenches don't matter, they don't know football. Because when you win the trenches, you're going to win games. And the trenches is where it all starts. A quarterback that's got time to throw can find some people open. A quarterback that don't have time to throw is going to be looking to get rid of it quicker than normal.
Guys, we're running out of time.
But
But-
Titans this week.
Let's talk about that and their division. You got Texas and Texans and Jacksonville playing.
Mhm.
They're the top two right now in the division. Who do you guys seeing right here? There could be some separation if Jacksonville wins.
Houston's
Yeah.
already beat Jacksonville once in Jacksonville.
Right.
So if that Texans,
They've
they've
already
already
played.
beat them once.
So Texas could
So if
really
they
get
really
a head up.
get a win here at
I'll
home,
tell you what, guys, Texans. I think they're the team of the future in the division, man.
And
They're
all those
playing
running
receivers
quarterback.
and Stroud, yes.
And they got it. I know he's from Alabama. D'Amico Ryan
Yep.
knows
wonderful
what he's
job.
doing. And you know what he's building? He's building defense. And when you build, here's the thing. Offenses can look good one week and not good. Defense are always consistent most of the time.
Well, the offense is what's winning the game for the Texans
Yeah,
right
and
now. It
it's
ain't the
on there.
defense.
So make a pick. It's at Houston. Who's winning?
Houston.
Houston at home. All right. We got New
What's
Orleans.
the line? What's the line in that one?
The line on this one would be.
The Todd Bobo line.
I didn't write that one down.
I think it's 3.
I think it's 3 too.
All right. So we got New Orleans at
Jacksonville
Atlanta.
favored.
New Orleans at Atlanta.
Line's
right
1.
there. I don't know, man. Pick them.
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
I'm gonna go with Atlanta because they're at home.
I'll go with you on that. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati.
New quarterback for Cincinnati now. Joe Burrow's down. Pittsburgh in disarray. Just got rid of their offensive coordinator.
I'm taking Cincinnati because it's at home on that one.
That might
I'm gonna
not
take
be a
Pittsburgh because they got a new quarterback, and I
Well,
think
that's about a pick 'em game.
It
That's
is.
a 1-point game.
All right.
Higgins is out for
How
Cincinnati.
far down the road is Tennessee in the rebuilding? Carolina comes to town.
You better win this one. We may not win another game. If you can't win Sunday, we may not
I
win
know
another
it.
game.
I know
And
it.
you're
So,
a 5-point favorite.
yeah.
3.5.
3.5-point favorite.
I'm going to say Carolina comes to town and beats us.
No,
I just don't
no,
like
I
I don't
don't
like
think
the vibe.
I don't like it either, but they're not going to beat us.
They're not gonna
Tampa at Indianapolis. Tampa Bay at Indianapolis.
I like Tampa Bay in the
do it.
upset there.
I
I
do too.
think Indy will win.
Okay. New England at New York Giants.
Who cares?
New England. I know, really. I mean, it's the battle of the losers.
I mean, you about want to lose that game to
I'm a
get your
Patriot-
draft
I'm a
status
Patriot
up.
All right.
fan.
All right, Cleveland at Denver. Denver is coming on. They're starting to creep back up into the mix, guys.
Cleveland can play.
And
Yeah.
Cleveland can't
Cleveland
play.
at Denver. Cleveland. I'm taking Cleveland.
I'm taking
Los
Denver.
Angeles Rams at Arizona. I'm taking Los Angeles
There you
there.
go.
I take Arizona. Kyler Murray's looked good in his comeback since he came
but
back.
Rams are still. You know, we talked about the Packers are still in the hunt.
They are 5 and 6.
Mhm.
They're not out
They're
of it.
still in
Yeah,
the
they're
hunt.
in there.
Rams win today. They're still in the hunt. They're
Big
5
game.
and 6.
Big
also.
game for that division comes Monday night.
Yeah,
Chicago
Yeah.
at Minnesota.
Sure enough.
I'm taking Minnesota on that one, but Chicago ain't bad. I mean, all right, Kansas City at Las Vegas. I'm taking Kansas City
Oh, no
there,
doubt
even though they're.
The line's 9, but guys, somebody's got to catch the football
I
from
know
Mahomes.
I know it.
Catch the ball.
Yeah, they haven't.
I don't know that they can beat anybody by 9 unless you start catching the football.
Right, and that's been a problem all year
Yeah.
for them.
Buffalo at Philadelphia. I'm
That's
taking
the game of the
Philadelphia.
week.
I'm taking Philadelphia.
I
there.
think this one's going to be fun to watch.
Phillies,
They're the real deal.
they're the deal.
All right,
It's
then you
at
got
Buffalo.
it's at Philadelphia.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's at Philadelphia. All right, then you
It's
got
going to be a good ball game. It's the best game of the week.
you're taking Buffalo.
No, I'll go with
You
Philly.
feel- all right,
But I think it will be a very good game and closer than people think.
Is that the Sunday night game?
It's
the
Sunday afternoon.
2025. All
Sunday
right,
night games, Ravens, Chargers.
that's what I'm getting to. The Ratbirds are rolling, buddy.
Yeah, they are.
They're playing.
They
And
may be the best team in the AFC, to be honest with
I
you.
believe they are at this point. I don't see anybody can beat them right
Offensively,
now.
defensively, Lamar Jackson's gotten so much
Hey.
better. Now Odell
You're
Beckham's starting to
seeing-
make plays.
You're seeing Lamar Jackson at 100%.
Yes.
And he
Now,
ain't been that way in the last 2 or 3 years.
Here's the thing about this game. Baltimore is coached by Harbaugh.
And he's a very good
Michigan
coach.
is coached by Hairbone, and they're brothers.
Airbone.
But maybe the worst coach in the National
But
Football
I'll tell
League
you
coaches
right
the Chargers. He's awful.
All
Awful.
right. Jeremy Davenport brings up a question, Bill. You're the insider. You wearing the blue, and you got
I
the
bleed it.
logo on the
I
cap.
bleed it.
All right. Titans talk. Is Vrabel on the hot seat?
No.
I think we'll have 1 to 2 more years to develop.
I
That's
think
Jeremy.
Vrabel is headed to New England.
I think that's a possibility. He's not on the hot
I
seat.
think
but
he's headed to New England.
That would
It
require
will be
draft
at
picks
his-
to the Titans. Which
And it's up to him. I think it's up to him to do that. I don't think the Titans are going to say, get out of here.
No, I
think
don't
it's
I
gonna
don't.
be
I
up
don't
to
think
him.
they will either. But you know.
but if you offer me a 1 and a 2 or a 1 and a 3, maybe I'd do it.
Oh.
But here's the thing.
That's the going rate for a coach.
Who you going to get?
And that's what I don't. This is what I don't understand about what you just said. How do you give up draft picks for a coach?
Happened last year with Sean Payton.
I know it did, but I
Happened with
think
John
that
Gruden.
should not be. But it is what it is, and if they do it, they do it. But I just don't see that a draft pick for a coach.
I would like to see it our way, especially if you give me a 1
Oh
or
well,
2
if
or 1
you're
or
a
3.
Titan, yeah, you do. But I mean, I just don't see it.
The rebuild of the Titans, and I'm going to go back to this again, it's team speed. The Titans, to me, are one of the slowest teams
Well,
in the league.
Here's the thing. I think, as much as I like the running game and I like the ground and pound, that is not a professional
Game's changed.
football.
You got to have a
Right.
balanced attack now.
Now, here's the thing: in professional football, you have to be able to run it, especially when it gets later in the season. The temperature changes, the climate changes. You've got to be able to run it, but you can't rely on the run. You still got to be able to throw it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think what's happened with the Titans is over the years, they went to the running game and did well with it, but then their offensive line gets beat up and banged up, and we hadn't replenished the offensive line. And when you don't have an offensive line, you don't run the ball. You talked about the Packers. I think the Packers have finally found, because at the first of the year, I said, man, they got to run the ball to keep the stuff off the young quarterback. Well, their line is not big. Their line is better at pass blocking and doing that. And you're seeing they're doing a little bit more throwing the ball on first and second down. They're still running it, but the Titans have relied so much on Henry.
What does that line do well? Pass block or run block? Neither one. They're terrible.
Well,
Neither. And I said,
they
and I
look good
made
in the
this
uniform,
comment.
I guess.
No, I don't know. I made this comment, and I'll make it again. I don't know what the Titans' first 3 draft picks are, but if 2 of their first 3 draft picks aren't linemen, something's wrong.
They need to all be 3. All
Where
3
are-
need to be lined.
Where are they the weakest at?
Right there.
Right there.
That's where it's at. All right.
And we've
you
not
don't-
done a good job drafting.
No,
We've not done a
terrible.
good job in free agency. We just whiffed on guys.
Well, another thing, too, this injury bug. I keep harping on it. Why is our injury list 3
Everybody's
times
got
long?
'em.
Well,
Everybody's
ours
got
is
'em.
3 times longer than
David-
anybody
David's
else's.
right.
Look at them.
Well,
Every week.
We got 15 or 20, and they got 5.
here I'm going to tell you this part, and I made this comment the other day, and I probably shouldn't be saying this over there, but I will. You go to winning,
Yep.
them injuries,
Right.
they don't happen.
No.
Tape it up and go back in.
That's right. You don't want somebody in front of you playing a little better than you, you're going to go back in.
Hey, how many weeks in a row is Traylon
Yeah,
Burks out with a concussion?
Let
3?
me tell you something, guys. There's a difference, and we've said this before, in being injured and being hurt.
Yes.
Everybody in the league is hurt right
Yeah.
now. and you could be on the injury list if you wanted to be.
Watch what Tyreek Hill did yesterday. He tweaked. Did y'all happen to catch that in that game?
No, I didn't see it.
He tweaks his ankle really bad.
I did not.
Goes over and it just says tape it.
Tape it. Yeah, well, that's what
He's back
did.
he's back in 2 plays
I
later. It
missed
didn't
that
look
game.
bad.
I thought it was a night game.
No, it's 2 o'clock.
I was in a conversation with some guys sitting around Thanksgiving, and we were talking about this very same thing. How many times you see Dick Buckus on the injured reserve
Oh,
list?
none of them.
None of those guys. I
No.
didn't even know what that was.
Steve McNair,
But here's the deal now.
Brett Favre.
Here's the deal now. These guys are making multiple bucks, and these doctors and these owners and all are telling them, slow them down.
Yeah.
I got.
Now,
But
do you think the speed of the game has increased in the last 30 years enough to justify the amount of injuries? And we've put so many rules into the game about not hitting this way or not hitting that way to reduce the injuries, and the Titans' injuries looks like a dead gum.
Let me ask you this.
It's ridiculous.
The speed of the game has changed.
Oh,
The
there's
whole
no
game.
Go back and look.
You go back to car accidents. Car accidents now are worse than they ever were because the cars are faster and they're not built with the same stuff that they
That's
used
the
to
big
be.
thing.
But we didn't have speed limits when I was a kid.
But you had
Or an airbag that does more damage than the wreck.
but you were driving tanks back in too.
Yeah,
that
we
were
were
made out of
driving
real
tanks.
metal.
I know it. We rode up in the back dash, just laid up there
Sure.
without a car seat, of course. But here's a question for you: how many of these injuries that you see, and I've seen this, I've been watching, it's somebody rolling up on an ankle. It's one of their own players bumping into them. It ain't no collisions that's causing these injuries. It's all this little nitpicky stuff. It ain't an injury. Okay? The guy rolls up on an ankle and he's out for 3 weeks. That's just,
I'm going to say this one more
there's
time.
a word for that, but I
That
ain't.
Philly special play on that sneak at some point is going to take a $30 million player out. And it's going to do something bad, and that's when they'll do something about that play.
Well, they're going to do something about that play in the offseason.
Because if you can't put,
Hey, I'm going to tell you
if
right.
I can't pull, you shouldn't be able to push. Now, I just think that plays, and they run it well.
Everybody pushes.
But what if Jalen Hurts gets hurt like that?
Well, then that's on them.
Yeah,
keep
and all that
playing.
money.
But
If he
hey.
gets hurt, he'll keep playing.
Yeah. But listen,
One of his own guys is going to hurt him. That's what's coming. It's going to be a Philadelphia Eagle that hurts him.
listen, everybody pushes. You watch Derrick Henry run the ball Saturday,
Yep.
and he'll get hit, and they'll stand him up, and then here'll come 2 or 3 linemen
Yep.
hitting them in the back and pushing them.
And we
That
allow
is-
that.
That is
But let's
no
say the other
different
way.
than the Philly special.
Let's say that I hit Henry here and he goes backwards. They don't count the backwards. They go, oh, forward progress here.
Yeah.
But when it's here, they give it to the offense and let you push the guy 8 yards.
But there's no difference. Now the
They
Philly
change something.
the Philly special to me is better than pushing that way because everybody is right here next to each other. Nobody's got a full head of speed. You're hitting and you're pushing. Where if somebody stood up, now you got somebody taking 3 steps, hitting you, boom, to move the pile.
I'm just telling you, some awful big
And,
boys.
and
going
I'm
behind Hurts
telling
back.
you, the Philly special, there will be some rule changes in the NFL next
I think
year
you're right.
with that.
Probably so. Guys, it's been a good one.
And they've already implemented some because I saw somebody the other day that was running something like that, and they called the lineman. It may have been a Green Bay game for them being offsides or something, lining up wrong or something too close. That's what it was. It was Green Bay. They did it twice, got first down both times, but they got offsides penalty on the lineman because they said the linemen were lined up in the neutral zone. They lined up. You can't line up in front of the center shoulder pads or something like that. And they called them for being offsides for lining up too close. And that's what things like that will change with that.
Right, let's thank our sponsors.
Yes.
Yes.
We've got First Bank of Shelbyville and Kincaid
Service company,
Service Company.
Mark and Eve Kincaid, give them a call.
And Leverett Power Washing. Give those guys a call. They'll get out and they'll power wash your driveway, a fence, a sidewalk, siding, whatever it is. They'll even get up on your roof and do that soft roof washing.
Mhm.
Great guys.
Gutters.
And of course, back to the service we appreciate Kincaid
Yes,
Service
sir.
Company,
Absolutely.
the service they provide.
Saw Mark
Provide.
riding the other day and is out doing a service call.
Yep, they're all about it. Stick to these local businesses. We appreciate them as our sponsors, and we appreciate you guys watching today.
So
We'll
two
be
Michigans, and one Ohio State guy today, right?
Yep,
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock is about ready.
And
Guys,
don't forget about the Coach Shane Young show Monday, 5:30 right here.
Also, next Saturday we'll be live streaming the parade.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Down at in front of your building there, Bill. We're going to be. We got Neil Gordon and let's see, Tina Corley. They will be hosting. They will be emceeing. So you guys will want to tune in and watch that. But thanks for watching. We'll be back again the same time, same place next week.
Thanks, Andy.